pull this back a little bit. Oh! Good morning. How are you? I am just getting some little things out of the way. Lauren just went out to do some grocery shopping. Aurora is with my mother. And I was just cleaning out inboxes and compiling production notes and a few other things. Good morning, rain cry. And now that I'm past that phase, now I'm looking at my show tonight. Good morning. Good morning. Hamilton, Ontario. Hey, call me Ishmael. How are you? Call me Ishmael. What's good, y'all? What's good? Just about to have some coffee with you guys because now it's time to think about some stuff for tonight's show. No Canadians allowed, says Mark Swan. He's just as good as a Canadian. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him, my friends from Ontario. Hola, hola. Jacksonville's in the house. Go Jays. What, like Blue Jays? I guess you have as good a shot as anybody. But, coffee it is. Springboro, Ohio. Well, hello from Westchester, New York. Mississippi. Mississippi. Am I crooked letter, I, crooked letter, humpback, I. That's what my grandfather used to say when I was learning all the states. Am I crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, humpback, I. Long Island. Oh, we've got a local-ish. We've got a local-ish here. In fact, I just learned last night that my guitarist, Tom, he's going to be moving out to Long Island at least for the summer. He got priced out of his place in Queens, so he and his wife are going to Long Island for the summer, and we're going to be relegated. I mean, we're still going to put some band performances, live streams on the schedule, but whatchamacall, but a lot of our writing is going to be remote for the summer. So it's almost going to be like 2020 again, because me and the band, we wrote quite a few interesting songs, all from remote locations in 2020, and that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen now. All right, so while my wife is at the grocery store and while my daughter is with my mother, I got to ask you guys some questions. I want to see what you have for me. The big question is, tonight we're talking about Tartaria. I've got Jack from Picard's Ready Room coming on, and we're going to take this from the beginning. We are going to take this from the beginning. So any questions, any doubts, anything you ever had about the Tartaria theory, about a global empire, of which the ruins are all around us, but we just can't really put all the pieces together, let me know. I'm gonna write them down, because I already have a pretty good, skeleton for the conversation. Kelly finds Tartaria to be inspirational. Well, that's something I'd like to be able to capture, because I know a decent amount, at least a functional amount of the story, but nothing that's ever led me to be inspired. So I would love to be inspired by it. That sounds fun. Still, that's that. Okay. Other than that, you guys can just, whatever, free energy, beauty. Well, yeah, I've seen that. The idea that pretty much the glimpse of a society that we got in Jackson Park, Chicago in 1893 was what the whole world was like at one point. But really, was it? And how that's a gargantuan feat. to cover up a world that was like that. And also, that's where a lot of that's where a lot of my criticisms are, is that 1890, the World's Fair in 1893 is often a point of this empire being wiped away. But um, you know, any of you guys who did any of the reading with us last summer on the World's Fair, um, we know why it was such a temporary thing over there in Chicago. That they didn't use stone, they didn't use the marble that they wanted to, because they didn't have the time. They had like pretty much less than 2 years to construct an entire city, and they had to invent a lot of technology along the way to make it happen. They used staff, which is essentially like a hard plaster. Spray paint was essentially invented for the cause of the fair. There's a lot. I know. I have way too much hair. Last night I gave it a nice shave, so it's fresh. It's fresh. I don't want Aurora to see me any other way, so I try to take it as fresh as possible. I'm interested also in what's up with Antarctica. You know who would be a great guest on Antarctica? I haven't heard him pop up anywhere in a while, but I've heard quite a few really interesting streams with him in the past, like years ago. Guy Steve Quayle. You guys, how many people have listened to Steve Quayle talk about Antarctica? I don't know what else he talks about, but that was interesting. I have a couple of Antarctica threads though. I have not done that. I was thinking about saving for a Saturday night, but I might just do it some other night. For example, there's this one thread that I took off of 8chan at the time, before 8kun, I think. And it was an Antarctica arachnid issue. Like arachnids, strange creatures in Antarctica that would prey upon people working out down there. The NDAs and stuff like that signed are pretty severe, and it's to be able to keep knowledge of these creatures at bay. Could be. It's a really interesting article, though, thread, and I would love to read it. The Richard Byrd expedition to Antarctica. Well, see, that right there, Byrd's expedition to Antarctica. We talked about Byrd quite a bit over the years, and High Jump. We've got a pretty decent blog on quitefrankly.tv about High Jump. But one person I would love to talk about Antarctica with is Robert Sepper. I would love to talk to Robert Sepper about Antarctica, because not only would he be able to go into High Jump, but he'd be able to go into all of the Vril, Nazi presence down there, where a lot of this technology was supposedly being downloaded, or the information of this technology being downloaded. There's so many interesting places to go with that, and Robert Sepper would just be a perfect guest on that front. Maybe one day. Let's see here. 100%. Steve Quayle and Jim Willey are both interesting and slightly crazy. Slightly crazy is fun. If that's the case, I'll bring it on. I love Slightly Crazy. Hello, Meredith. Nice surprise. D says, Frank, I was so happy to see you when I logged on. Here you go. Steve is getting old. I had to imagine. The giant five-legged creatures of Antarctica. Yeah, it is. It's Antarctica. I forget which Anon, what name he was given. But pretty much this Anon came on to the boards a few years ago talking about his father's time in Antarctica. Verified the father was who he was just based on all of the Antarctica mission patches and things like it got legit. this anon hooked everybody's attention in a completely satisfactory way, and then after a while, just left, just disappeared. So I gotta write that down. It's Antarctica. I'm just gonna send Robert Sepper a an invite. Send him an invite. Say bird, the vril, and then arachnids. Arachnids thread. Okay. You have to be crazy in this world or something's wrong. Well, yeah, I mean, you have to be acquainted with crazy. You have to be acquainted with crazy, and you have to know how to conduct yourself around crazy is what I would say. But I don't think you have to be crazy. And you also have to know how to consider craziness. You know, there's certain considerations that have to be given to crazy. So I guess we can go deeper into that at some point. Let's see. Hello, Last Jedi. How are you? Ask Sean from SGT Report to connect you with Quayle. Well, Timothy Alberino, I think, is good friends with Steve Quayle. I can just get in touch with him. He was just on the show recently. Haven't spoken to Sean in a while. I'd hate to come out of nowhere asking for an introduction, but maybe Tim can help me out. Let's see here. Florida Maquis. Good videos on Antarctica. Hello, King. What's going on, King Cracker? Hey, Tammy. I worked with a man whose brother was in the Navy. A team of them was sent to Antarctica in the late 70s. They just disappeared, but the family never got an explanation. Dude, Julie, I'm telling you, things like that is, it would go hand in hand with this thread. And that would be a good thing, a good time for you to call in and give me that. Well, thank you, Kelly. Thank you. Listen, I've been hanging in there for 18 years. This is what I do, and I love doing it. And I'm sure, every dog has its day. And I think we've already done a great deal of wonderful work and had great conversations, and we've alleviated a lot of stress and just had good fun over these years. But we haven't peaked. There's no we've peaked. So just keep working and keep following inspiration until it leads us to a few pots of gold, and that'll be good. I had a couple people email me. I forgot what the hell it was about, but people were asking where the second half of the show was. You want to talk about paying attention? The show has been live across all platforms again for the full 2 hours since April 30th. And I think that maybe I think maybe 30% of the audience has noticed. You see, yeah, I think about 30% of the audience has noticed. Just being tuned in. I keep getting emails about it. I want to bring that up. That's one thing. What else is there going on lately? Is that a fucking mosquito? I see a bug that is very spindly. It has to be a mosquito. But this thing is so big, and it's on the side of my neighbor's house, in the sun right now. This thing is so big it has a shadow. It's definitely a mosquito. It's too spindly to be anything else. It's not a mantis. Crazy. What's going on, King 40? OMG, I didn't notice, said Cindy. Yeah, I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I wanted to see how many people noticed. Let's see. Remember when Frank's show was non-political? How old are we, dude? What do you mean, non-political? We've always talked about politics and current events. That's never not been a part of it. I've always just been hell bent on not allowing it to be the full thing. Like, for example, Tim Pool. I don't know how he does that show every night. I peeked in on that show. Sorry, man. I'm sorry, but it's just so fucking boring. I peeked in on that show once, like last week, because I saw it live as I was home. The Yankees were on, and I'm just going through some stuff I saw was live. Clicked on it, and there's like 30,000 people watching. The chat room was like a fucking war. It's just a war in the chat room. He's catching shit from every. I was like, you know what? I'm not jealous of this at all. I'm not jealous of that at all. It makes me very, very happy for what we're doing when I see that. And also, listen, I'm going to comment on this because I'm a bald man. He's got to break away from the hat. You know, if I had his ear personally, and we were actually, you know, casual, I'd say, dude, you got to have one coming out party for the head. You got to do it. You know, that's it's just one of those things. If you like the hat, then that's fine. I love hats. I've been wearing fitted wool baseball caps since I was in 5th grade, and trust me, I had a luscious head of Southern Italian curls in 1995. A luscious head of hair. All right, I was not hiding anything. I just love hats, but you know, it comes a time where you have to, you know, especially when you're in our line of work, you got to let people know, hey, I don't have an issue. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of this. But you know, Tim showing up to Mar-a-Lago last week. I know he caught hell for that picture with him and Roger Stone down in Mar-a-Lago, where he had a suit on and the beanie, and I'm just like, bro, you got to find a way to just rip the Band-Aid off. It's okay to love hats. I love hats. I'm rarely seen without one, but it's not because I'm covering anything up. But my hair was luscious. Hold on, hold on, wait a second. I think I've showed this to you before. Hold on. This is my brother on his confirmation. Is this confirmation? Yeah, it's my brother's confirmation. I think I was his confirmation sponsor. It's me, my brother, and my grandfather. Look at that. You see it? Can you see the lusciousness? That's the lusciousness. And that's way past 1995. That's like 7 years later. You know, all the stupid shit that they're... All the stupid shit. You think about the hundreds of millions of dollars that have been pumped into studying the effect of cocaine on lesbian pigeons or something like that. Hundreds of millions of dollars. You're telling me that that nobody could figure this out? Nobody can figure this out? Get the fuck out of here. Roman says, what makes us lose our hair, man? I'll tell you what makes us lose our hair. This guy right in the middle. My grandfather, his genetics. that's what makes us lose our hair. But there's got to be something. Oh, I miss my grandfather. Miss them all. I, no, that tree is still. Wow. Anyway, I found my confirmation letter for my grandfather, because my confirmation was in May of '99. I think it was in May of '99. This might have been like 2001, two, something like that. When the hell did my brother get out of eighth grade? 2002. So my grandfather would be gone like he'd be gone like a year and a half later. But I found his confirmation letter to me. I found my whole stack of confirmation letters, because over here what we would do is we'd go to this retreat center in West Harvestraw. Well, Harvestraw or Haverstraw, I don't know what it is, but it was a Catholic retreat center, and we would always go there when we were preparing for a sacrament. And I always really used to like it. I liked their cafeteria and stuff like that. They would. One thing I would remember about West Harvestraw is that they would invariably, at some point in our retreat there, your group, and you'd be with other schools and going over there, and we would go into a little video room, and they put on the television. They wanted to talk about friendship, and they want to talk about morality, and they want to talk about good, healthy relationships. And there's always a point when we went to a retreat there where they would put on The Lion King, and it was that little segment of the video when Timon and Pumbaa realized that, this is a lion, Simba's a lion, this could be really good for us, he's going to grow into an apex predator, and we're going to be his friends. And they would always use that as an example of how to spot bad friends. Now, obviously, there was a more genuine relationship that was formed between those characters as time went on. But it was always an example made to us about, how not to use people and things like that. Anyway, at the end of our confirmation retreat, we were all in this little chapel, and everybody had a little bundle of letters that was delivered to them. And little did we know that our teachers and stuff were collecting letters from everybody in our lives, wishing us well and blessing us and all that stuff. And those letters, I mean, they meant a lot to me back then, but now, especially since so many of those people are gone, it hits like a load of bricks. But I gotta bring a couple of those on air sometime. Maybe a couple. I'll see which ones are appropriate. But it's always good to keep those things. Timon, the opportunistic meerkat. Yeah, they're bad friends. Someone got into the Bohemian Grove and recorded 2 hours of footage. From who? I've lost a lot of context here. Let me go back in the chat. Hold on. Genetics, bro. Frank, when are you going to wear the George Washington shirt I mailed you? Oh, they're upstairs. Lauren folded them yesterday. I washed them the other day. I had to wash them. At least you sent me some shirts that were never been worn before. Some people send me shirts that have been worn before. I'm just like, what am I going to do with this? I can't do that. Let's see here. New hairdo and glorified body. Fun fact, all pigeons are at least bi-curious. Well, women and children cause hair loss. Well, Lauren and Aurora haven't caused hair loss for me. I think I was already on the path. But my first gray arm hairs, those popped up over the last couple of years. Let's see here. Rub castor oil on your scalp or onion juice. I'm sure Lauren would love that. Go to bed, smell like onions. Let's see, but Anthony. Yeah, Anthony worked very hard. Anthony would be the first one to tell you how hard he's worked in keeping his hair. And even then, I know Anthony is considering stylistically something's got to change. I mean, down the line, Anthony's actually been wondering, low key, you know, what's the next phase for me? You know, what am I doing with this? I said, you should get in touch with a stylist. I said, I haven't ruled it out. I would love to talk to a stylist, at least to build up a little bit of a wardrobe for days that I want to, you know, look good, go out looking good for one thing or another, and not have everything come off the rack at Kohl's, you know, something like that. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'd like to get an idea of what I'm doing. Frank, why not rock the skullet? Ugh. The only person who could pull that off is Devin Townsend, of Strapping Young Lad. That's the only person who can pull it off. If you want to go for the mad scientist look, you can. Let's see. St. Augustine. That's my saint. That's my saint. Let's see here. Oh, and Pete Buttigieg. Pete Buttigieg's gerbil knows that. St. Augustine of Hippo is Frank's patron saint, I think. Yeah, good memory. And when are you going to wear those assless chaps I sent you, Frank? All chaps are assless. Shave your eyebrows. Yeah, it'll complete the look. Shave the eyebrows, but leave this. Do I like the Alien movies? Yeah. Ridley Scott movies? Yeah, I do. And you know, the first time I watched Prometheus all the way through was 2022 when I got sick with whatever the hell COVID was. Have you ever considered tattooing your scalp to look like hair? Oh, I've seen people who do that. I've seen it, not just on Instagram. I've seen it where they'll do. Oh, even just poking myself with my fingernails sucks. Absolutely not. Never, ever, no, never, ever. But I've seen people do all of the tattooing to make it at least make it seem like it's like a 5 o'clock shadow up there. Just let it go. Rude Tuesday was fun. Well, it had. I mean, one day we'll really get into it. One day we'll really get into Rude Tuesday. I had a couple of topics last night, but on a night that, like when I really have a band practice or something like that, and I have to cut it short. Last night I couldn't cut it short. I would love to do that on a night where it's all been cut short. I enjoyed it though. Well, Reb, nothing too bad happened. Actually, the people who called into the open line, the Rude Tuesday line, the 10-second line, they did pretty well. The only people I had to really cut off were the people who called into the wrong line to talk about what they would do if they were king for a day. I wish you can book Judge Joe Brown, Frank. Well, I mean, I can text him and get him on the show. He's been on a few times. It's just usually the idea for a conversation comes first with me, and then I go out and I match it with a guest. I want to bring somebody on. So I would have to. I'd love to have Judge Joe Brown back on, but I just got to come up with a topic. You know. Consider Cliff High for a future guest. Uh, it's a name I know. I might be able to pick him out of a lineup, but again, I would need something. I have to be better acquainted with him and have an idea for what to ask him. Frank can get Jason Burmis back on. Yeah, I'd like to have Jason back on. He asked me to come on his new show. I think he has a new show. A few weeks back, he asked me to come on his new show, but he goes live at 7 o'clock when I do. So that's tough. That's tough. All right. Anything else you guys want to leave me? Had to leave Rude Tuesday early. Left for Blues Traveler concert. That's nice. Well, Rude Tuesday, like I said, we tried some things out. I tried. I got myself a 10-second timer on the side, and I think a lot of people are. They played the game. They called up. They tried to say something real quick, and I didn't really have to do anything. Now down the line, I promise you that it's going to get better and better with Rude Tuesday. But I have to get some more bits and ideas to spice things up. Did you see my father's story about pooping in Antarctica, where it froze mid-diarrhea stream, poop tube? See, right there, if somebody called in, with the 10-second timer on, and they said that, they said, Frank, my father was in Antarctica, he pooped in Antarctica, it froze mid-diarrhea stream. That takes 4.5 seconds, and I'm hooked. Go ahead. Tell me about it. This is ridiculous. Why the hell is it that cold? Is he pooping outside? Why was he doing that? If it's that cold, why would you ever expose your asshole outside? You know? You just hold it in. I mean, you can't do that. There's a lot of problems right there. And then if it's not outside, why the hell is it that cold inside? What's the point of being inside? Frank, how can I mail you a copy of a book? Well, the P.O. box is on the sponsor us page on quitefrankly.tv. Anyway. Okay. Well, that's good. Half hour with you guys. I'm happy with that. I just wanted to stop by, say hello. I got some Antarctica ideas over here that I have to put into motion, and I already have a good amount of stuff to work with as far as the timeline of events with Tartaria, and our guest tonight knows how to tell the story in his own little way, really interestingly. But is there anybody out there who has any doubts about Tartaria? Any questions that you want to challenge the guest on tonight? It's always good to see a guest act under a reasonable amount of criticism. If you have anything critical or nothing that has ever made sense to you about it, just let me know. You can email me, and or you can find us on Gilded. Yes, complete doubts. Tim Alberino, the Catman, certainly doubts too. I know that Timothy Alberino thinks it's bunk. Many of the Chicago buildings are still standing. I think only one of the Chicago Fair buildings is still standing. But most of the others were built with a plaster called staff. Many of you who were in the book club last year, like I said, you know that. So, what I would be interested in here, and I don't know if he goes into this, but there is a certain thread on the Tartaria timeline that this was a biblical, this was like an ultimate 1,000-year reign of Christendom and the kingdom of Christ, and that when 1,000 years eclipsed, it is now 1,000 or so years of the devil's turn, or whatever the hell it is. I got to go find some stuff on that. Maybe he'll address it, because I know some people don't go that route. Some people don't talk about it, and I'd like to hear all sides of that one. Anywho, I hope you guys call in. Especially in the second half of the show. I love getting a lot of second half calls, reaction to what you guys and gals just heard. Write down your questions, your comments. You can send in super chats in the middle of it, so I can pass questions along to him, to Jack. That would be good. But yeah, should be a good time. Let me just make sure that I didn't miss anything. Oh, the other person I was going to say doesn't think that there's any merit to the whole Tartaria thing is Robert Sepper. And on an anthropological standpoint, that's a guy I listen to pretty closely. So maybe I can get a comment from him. But other than that, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for a little bit, having some coffee. What's going on, Nikki? Hope you're well. And that's all. All right, guys. Take care. See you tonight, and be good.